Good morning, students. Today we are going to look at the chapter tissues. Last week we have seen about the meristematic tissues. In that, we have seen about the apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. And today we are moving into the permanent tissue. So, permanent tissue has a split up into simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Today we are going to look in deep about this part, the simple permanent tissues, which consist of parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, and epidermis, which is not included in this mind map. I'll tell you the thing later. So what do you mean by permanent tissue? These permanent tissues arises from the meristematic tissues. In the last session, I have told that the meristematic tissue has the ability to divide, but the permanent tissue does not have the ability to divide. Once the division is over in the meristematic tissue, it will pass on to the permanent tissue, which is very strong, and it will have a perfect shape, size, and function, so it cannot divide. So the cell of the tissue gradually lose their power to divide and acquire a definite shape, size, and function. So this is the main characteristics of this permanent tissue. The tissue may be living or dead. So this permanent tissue may be living or dead. If it is living means the green color in the plant is called living cells. If you see in the tree, the bark of the tree which is brown in color is a dead tissue. Okay, this is the difference between living and dead tissue. There are two types of permanent tissues, namely simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. We'll see the simple permanent tissue in detail. What do you mean by simple permanent tissue? These tissues are very simple in nature, and they are the permanent tissue which is fixed and will not divide. So it is called a simple permanent tissue. These are also known as homogeneous tissues. They are made up of a single cell type. As they are made up of a single cell type, it is called as homogeneous, usually with the same origin, structure, and function. These simple permanent tissue consist of a same origin, structure, and function, and it is made up of a single type of cells. Simple permanent tissue is further classified into parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, and epidermis. So first, we'll look at the parenchyma. The cell have an oval or round shape. The cell wall is made up of hemicellulose or cellulose. These parenchyma cells are oval or round in shape, and the cell wall is made up of hemicellulose or cellulose. The cell is thin walled. So we can compare the parenchyma with collenchyma and sclerenchyma cells later. First, listen to the parenchyma cells alone. The cells are thin walled. The cells have vacuoles and very small nucleus. It is found in all parts of the plant. The protoplasm is living and dense. So these are the characteristics of parenchyma cells. So the first thing is it is oval and round. The cell was made up of hemicellulose or pectin. The cell wall is thin walled. The cells have vacuoles and very small nucleus in it. Okay. There are some types of parenchyma tissues. They are storage parenchyma, aerenchyma, and chlorenchyma. First, we'll see about storage parenchyma. The cells enlarge to store the nutrient and water. So, inside the plant, the storage parenchyma will get enlarged and it stores the nutrient and water. So, it is called as storage parenchyma. The second thing is aerenchyma. These aerenchyma cells will have air cavities, and because of this air cavities, the plant will float in the water. That is, this parenchyma tissue provide buoyancy to the aquatic plants. That is, the plant which float in the water is due to the presence of this parenchyma tissue which have air cavities. The third one is chlorenchyma. This chlorenchyma is due to the presence of chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll is a pigment which gives green color to the plant, and this green color is essential for the photosynthetic process which it receives sunlight to get their food. So these are the three types of parenchyma. They are storage parenchyma, parenchyma, and chlorenchyma. These parenchyma tissues is found generally in all parts of the plant body. It forms the ground tissue in leaf, stem, root, and fruit. So this parenchyma is present in all parts of the body, and it forms the ground tissue, leaf, stem, root, and fruits. Next, we'll move to collenchyma. The cells are long and thick walled. The wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. In parenchyma, the cell wall is made up of hemicellulose and cellulose, but in collenchyma, the cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. See the differences. It is the only tissue with the highest refractive index due to the presence of pectin. So due to presence of pectin, it has the highest refractive index. It is found in the epidermis, that is the outer layer of the plant body is called as epidermis, and the vascular bundle of the dicot leaf. Vascular bundle is a tissue like thing which is present in the dicot leaf. The amount of chloroplast is less in the cell. When compared to the parenchyma cell, the amount of chloroplast is less in the cell, whereas in parenchyma it is very high and it is essential for photosynthesis. The cell have no intracellular space. In parenchyma, it is very thin and it has large amount of intracellular space, but in collenchyma, it doesn't have intracellular space, so it is a little bit tightly packed. The next one is sclerenchyma. These are dead tissues, very hard and stiff. So this is tightly packed more than the collenchyma. It is made up of sclerenchymatous tissues, and the cells of this sclerenchymatous tissues are dead. These cells are long and narrow, and it is thick walled due to lignin. So in the parenchyma, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, and in the collenchyma, it is made up of pectin, and here lignin. These are the difference in the cell wall arrangement. So here the cell is thick wall due to lignin with various size and shape. These provide a mechanical support and rigidity to the plant. So this sclerenchyma is very thick and it provides the mechanical support and rigidity to the plants. Let us move to the diagrammatic representation, and this is the parenchyma tissue. So which is loosely packed and the walls are very thin. You can see the structure. This is the longitudinal structure of the parenchyma cells, where there is a thin wall of the cell. You can identify this. The next one is a collenchyma, which is a little bit thicker, and the cell wall is surrounded by pectin, and this is the longitudinal section where the cell wall is a little bit thicker and the cells are quite tightened. And this one is a sclerenchyma, where the cell does not have intercellular spaces and it is longitudinal and narrow, and see the thickness of the cell wall, it is thicker than the parenchyma and collenchyma cells. Are you all clear, children? Let us move to the epidermis. Epidermis tissues covers the entire body of the plant. So just think of a plant in which the whole body of the plant is covered by the thin layer which is called as the epidermis tissue. They protect the plant from injury, germs, and water loss. So through the sunlight, it absorbs the water content present in the plant. So this epidermis will prevent the water loss, germs attack and the injury. Cells of this epidermal tissues form a continuous layer without intracellular space. So there will not be any intracellular space in the epidermis tissue and it forms a continuous layer. The leaf consists of small pores called stomata. So each stomata is composed of two guard cells which regulates the opening and closing of the stomata. So this stomata helps in the transfer of gases and also transfer of water material, that is transpiration process. Transpiration is a loss of water which takes place through the stomata. So stomata helps mainly in the transfer of gases and also water loss and also water entry when rainy season. All this happens through the leaf with the help of stomata. So stomata plays a main role in the transpiration process and gases exchanges. Let us see the diagrammatic representation of stomata and guard cells. So consider this green part as the leaf and this is the structure of stomata and it is an enlarged view of the leaf. This is the stomata and the inner part is called as guard cells which will open and close when the plant breathe. So it will open. When it opens it transpire the water and if it close it does not transpire the water. So the loss of water happens through this stomatal pore and also the gases exchange, that is carbon dioxide will move inside and it releases of the oxygen through the presence of this God cells and the process is called as photosynthesis. This photosynthesis process involves the chlorophyll, water and the sunlight. So stomata plays a main role in the gases section, that is receiving the carbon dioxide and outletting the oxygen. So this is the process which is happening in the leaf during photosynthesis. The next part, that is the complex permanent tissue, will be continued in the next session. Thank you, children.